Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our weekly Spotlight on History. I'm Mary Helen Dellinger, curator of the Manassas Museum. I'm here today down at our entryway. For those of you that might not be completely familiar with the museum, look for this fantastic sign right here on the corner of Prince William and Main Streets. And our big open flag will let you know that we're open, and come on in and see us. But today we're not going to stay here at the museum. We're going to travel around town because one of our top fans, Denise A., has asked us if we could shed some light on the buildings around town that have letterings or markings of some kind. Well, Denise, we're happy that you asked that, and we're pleased to share with you and everyone else some information about 5 buildings in the city of Manassas that fit this description. So let's head off to our first one. Our first stop is at 9419 Battle Street. The building behind me was designed by local architect Albert Speeden for use as a candy factory. Its location adjacent to the Southern Railway tracks that you can also see here allowed for easy shipment of product. The ingredients needed to make the candy were brought in by train, and the finished product, candy, was sent out. So this building operated as a candy factory from 1908 and until about 1917. Now let's take a look at the side of the building to get a clue about later uses. So what do you notice about the bricks, specifically those between the 3rd and 2nd story windows and then down the left-hand side of the building? Not sure if we can see all of that right here, but we'll do our best. Can you see the faded lettering that's up there? So if you're having a hard time making that out, what's in between the windows says Manassas Feed and Milling Company, horizontally across the building, and then running vertically down the building to the left of the windows is Millers and Wholesale Feed Dealers. Now, clearly that has nothing to do with candy. So what's that about? So the Manassas Feed and Milling Company operated out of this building from 1918 until the 1930s when it was sold to Southern States Manassas Cooperative. Yet the name remains on the building. So why is that? Well, there's really no concrete answer. One reason could be that the two businesses were very similar in what they offered to their customers, so there was really no need to change the name. And another answer could probably be that it was costly and difficult to remove paint from brickwork, and so the Manassas Feed and Milling Company just stayed up there, and Southern States left it as the new owner. Well, whatever the reason, the paint is still in the building. I'm glad they did that because this faded lettering reminds us of a time when Manassas was truly a farming community, and this building was supporting that local industry. Now today, this building is home to the Center for the Arts and has exhibition and performing art space. If you've never been in, great space. You can go in there and see great art and some live plays. It's one of 4 historic structures that is owned and operated by the city of Manassas. The other 3 being the Southern Railway Depot that is just out of frame here, Annenberg Manor, and Liberia House. Now that I've mentioned Liberia, let's head over there to see what interesting markings can be found on the outside of that house. Okay, here we are outside of Liberia House, our second stop today. This was once the home of the Ware family. This home was built in 1825 with the use of enslaved labor and once stood on 1,660 acres of land. Now, we want to take a look at the house back here. There's an interesting detail on the brickwork that sometimes is easily missed if you're not looking way up. Gotta look way up. See the chimney up there, right up above me? Notice the WI built into the structure. You can see that. That stands for William James, which was the name of the first owner of Liberia, the man who had the house built. The capital letter J looked more like an I at the time, so that's not really an I, it's a J. And different colored bricks, they were called clinkers, were used in the construction of that particular feature. A lot of people wonder how that was done. Now we're going to pan down a little bit to the doorway on this side of the house. Do you notice the white marks around the door on the brickwork? Not the painted part, but the stuff that's a little bit faded. Those are ghost marks from where the kitchen and laundry wing once abutted the house. Now, a ghost mark is an outline that shows earlier construction that was removed. So, for those of you that are not familiar with Liberia, I'm going to show you a picture of the house here. This is the kitchen wing right here, the kitchen and the laundry wing that would have abutted the house. This picture was taken about 1862. It's one of the earliest known images of the house. So that's the structure that's gone that left the ghost mark on the house. Now, we don't know what happened to that structure. Could have been a fire, which is very typical of the time. It could have been damaged during the Civil War with some of the conflicts that we saw here in the area, but we do know that it's gone at this point. So, but we can tell where it used to be because of the ghost marks. So now we're going to head back downtown for a quick look at some other buildings that have names on them that have nothing to do with the businesses that operate there now. We're standing across the street from Things I Love, a really neat collectibles and gift store located at 9084 Center Street. So here I want you to check out the lettering on the building that's way up at the top. See that up there? It says Opera House. That might be easier to see than the other buildings we've looked at. So this is an easy one. This building used to be, in fact, an opera house. It opened in 1906 and served as a theater, dance hall, and civic center until the 1940s. So this is a photo of the building from the early 20th century, and you can see from this that it's remained largely unchanged. So this is a building that has not seen much change, and the Opera House remains on it. So now we're going to pop down the block to 9129 Center Street and see what's there. All right, now we're just down the block in front of another Albert Speed and Design building. The one behind me shows up in a lot of early photos of town, and you can see it in this picture right here. This is a picture of the early water lines being installed, and right here is the building that we're talking about. You can see it in this picture. So this was home to Gibson Giddings, a fine clothing store for men. Here, one could be fitted for a nice suit. You could pick out the fabric and the style that you wanted, and it would be custom made for you. We call that bespoke tailoring, so that's what they offered here. The name of the original business is still found on the building and can be seen above the door, and a lot of the other architectural features remain the same. Today, there is no business in there currently. It was a bookstore for a very long time, but right now the building is empty and available if you want to be downtown. So let's head down to our final location at 9113 Center Street. Our final location today is 9113 Center Street. So check out the building behind me and across the street, and can you see the words post office there above the door? So this building is another Speed and Design structure, the third one on our tour today, and served as the local post office from 1906 to 1923. Today it's home to an antique store, but some of the stonework reminding us of its first use is clearly still visible. So that's some really neat buildings in town that have all kinds of history right out there for you to see if you really know what you're looking at. That's all for today. Please join me next week when we share some of the school-related pieces in our collection. I'm Mary Helen Dellinger, and I'll see you soon.